of big problems for the president, more and more economists in this country are talking about the possibility of a double-dip recession. Lakshman Achuthan, the managing director of the Economic Cycle Research Institute, famously predicted the 2008 collapse, and then, last summer, he was ahead of the curve again in predicting the end of the recession. But today, well, Achuthan says the odds of a return to recession are more and more likely.
People are getting worried again, and when you look at the forward-looking indicators, they're pointing to continued slowing ahead. And when our growth is already so weak, that means we are skating on very thin ice. The risk of recession in front of us, of a new recession, is quite high. And the jury remains out as to whether or not we're going to go into a recession. We don't have enough information to say it definitively, but I suspect we will have that information by Thanksgiving to know one way or another.
Here's what I wonder. A lot of economists and pundits are talking about a double-dip recession, right?
Yeah.
Going back into recession. But as you know, for many people in this country, it doesn't really feel like we ever left the recession anyway.
Correct.
So what happens if we go into double-dip recession? How will things change substantially for a vast segment of the American population that is suffering anyway?
As unbelievable as it may sound, they are going to suffer more. They are in a depression. That is a depression for that cohort. And it poses massive problems for policymakers because a new recession automatically increases all of these expenditures out of the public sector, while at the same time dramatically decreasing all their revenue. So there's even less ability to help the people who are hurting the most.
Now, some economists are arguing that right now we're just in a period of slow growth, not that different from the early 1980s, and that there may be some light, I'm not going to say at the end of the tunnel, but maybe just slightly over the bend in the hill. What do you make of that?
I don't have any evidence to support that kind of view.
You have no good news for us.
I'm afraid, in the near term, I don't at all. The best news I can give you is that cycles do turn, but there's going to be a lot of pain in between. And this is very different than the early 1980s. The issues that ail the U.S. economy and the jobs market today are not things that result from nearby events. What we're living through and dealing with now has been building for decades. If you look at the data, you see that the pace of expansion has been stair-stepping down ever since the 1970s on all counts, on production, how much can we produce, how many jobs can we create, how much money do we make, how much do we sell. These are all trending down. The pace of expansion has been getting weaker and weaker for decades. It's not something that is new. So those who were expecting we should have a vigorous recovery had no right to do so. Rather, we're likely to see more frequent recessions than anyone is used to for the next 5 or 10 years.
Sobering news from Lakshman Achuthan. He's the managing director of the Economic Cycle Research Institute, and he joined me from New York. Lakshman, let's bring you back on when you have something good to tell us.
Check back in a couple of months, and maybe we avoid a recession.
Thanks very much.
Okay.